the atoms and molecules would move more slowly. So in order to give you an impression of just how cold we want these things to get, and courtesy of the amazing lecture demo outfit here at the University of Maryland's Physics Department, I brought along some really, really cold stuff. This stuff is liquid nitrogen. Nitrogen is the main constituent of the air. That means that this is basically liquid air. This stuff is so cold that compared to it, the floor on which I'm standing, the tables in this room, everything in this room is burning hot. If I pour this out on this desk, it boils immediately. See, too bad no one's sitting there. More exciting again. So this stuff is really, really cold. And if you've got something that cold, then it seems like it might be a good idea to use it to slow down your atoms. I've got a bucket here. And let me just top it up a little bit. Bucket full of liquid nitrogen. And here I have a traditional container for hot gas, or as we refer to it in the Washington area, hot air. So let's fill it up with hot air. And let's stuff it into the bait bucket full of liquid nitrogen to cool down the gas, to make the atoms and molecules move more slowly, because that's the whole idea, is that if we can get these atoms and molecules to move more slowly, then we'll be able to measure them better, and we'll be able to make a better atomic clock. So that's the idea that we're trying to pursue here. Okay, great. Wonderful, wonderful. Now, okay, so let's see what else we can do. Here I have what we call a Dewar flask. It's just a thermos bottle, and it's been sitting out at room temperature. So that means that compared to the liquid nitrogen, this thing is burning hot. Imagine that you had something like a metal bucket, and you heated it up in a fire until it was glowing red, and then you poured cold water into it. The water would boil, and that's what's happening here. Don't try this at home. Let's let that boil away, cooling down the inside of the Dewar, and while it's cooling down, let's cool down some more gas. Because after all, strange shape. So, because, if you want to do an experiment, you want to have plenty of material so you can make a good measurement. So let's see how this baby goes in here. Put it in narrow in first and see what happens. Yeah, not so bad. Okay. Okay, good. Now let's go over here to our thermos bottle, our Dewar, and the boiling has subsided. A lot has boiled off, so let me just top it up. Okay. Now, here we have a nice fresh flower. I bought it fresh this morning. It's nice fresh flower. Room temperature. That means that compared to the liquid nitrogen, this thing is burning hot. So imagine what would happen if you took something like a metal rod, a fireplace poker, and heated it up in the fireplace until it was glowing red, and then plunged it into a bucket of cold water. It would make the water boil. And that's what's going on here. So it's boiling away, cooling down the flour. So while it's doing that, let's cool down some more gas. Because if we cool down the gas, see, look at that nice shape. If we cool down the gas, then that means the atom is going to be moving more slowly, and we'll be able to make a better atomic clock than if the atoms were moving really fast. That's the whole idea of this cooling business. Okay, there we go. Wonderful. Now, Let's go over to our flour. So I look in here and I see that the boiling has subsided. That means the flour is now cooled down to the temperature of the liquid nitrogen. It is so cold that when I take it out, I can crush it like it was made out of glass. This stuff is really, really cold. And, you know, if you've got something that cold, then, you know, why not use it to cool down your gas to make the atoms and molecules move more slowly so that you can make better measurements. More time to make the measurement because they stay in your apparatus longer, and fewer effects like Doppler effects and relativistic time dilation that you have to deal with. Okay, let's see what else can we do. Here is a nice stretchy rubber band. Let us dunk this nice stretchy rubber band into liquid nitrogen. It makes the nitrogen boil, just like anything would, but the rubber band isn't very big, so it doesn't take very long before the boiling subsides, and now the rubber band is cooled down to the temperature of the liquid nitrogen. When I take it out, I can break it like it was a dry twig. All I have to do is warm it up with my hands a little bit, get my fingers around it, roll up and on, and just warm it up with my hands a little bit. It's a nice stretchy. This stuff is really, really cold. And, you know, if you got something that cold, then why not do that? That one's fine. What was the matter with that other blue one? Okay. So, just stuff it in. Make the atoms and molecules move more slowly. And maybe I blew it up a little bit too big. Force it in. There we go. There we go. Okay, let's see what else we can do. Here, I have a racquetball. Nice bouncy racquetball. Let's see what happens if we put the racquetball into the liquid nitrogen, and while it's cooling down, what? You want to have a lot of stuff, right? So let's cool down some more gas to make the atoms and molecules move more slowly, because if they move more slowly, we're going to be able to make better measurements. And I always do this if it's too big. I'm going to stuff it in. Okay. There we go. Now, okay, let's see what happened to the racquetball. So you remember how nice and bouncy the racquetball was? It breaks it like it was made out of porcelain. This stuff is really, really cold. How cold is it? Well, in order to understand how cold it is, we've got to think about measuring temperatures the way physicists like to measure temperatures. You know, when we talk about how cold it is outside, on a cold day we might say that it's 32 Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Celsius. If it gets below freezing, you know it's negative Celsius, and if it gets really, really cold, you might go to negative degrees Fahrenheit. We don't like those negative numbers. So we have a temperature scale called the Kelvin scale, where the lowest possible temperature is 0. 0 Kelvin, absolute 0, and everything's measured up from there. Room temperature is about 300. The degrees are the same size as Celsius degrees. Ice melts at about 273. Dry ice is about 195. The coldest temperature ever measured on the surface of the Earth for an air temperature, someplace in Antarctica in winter, was 185 degrees above absolute 0. Colder than dry ice, someplace in Antarctica, 185 degrees. This stuff, which boils flowers into glass, that turns rubber balls into porcelain. This stuff is 77 degrees above absolute zero. 77 degrees above absolute zero. This stuff is really cold. And thinking about something that cold, well, why not use it to cool down your gas, which is what we're doing here. But I think that perhaps the more perceptive among you may have noticed that the volume of balloons that I put into this bucket was considerably bigger than the size of the bucket. And the reason is that these balloons are like pancakes. They're like go frisbees. So does anybody remember how many balloons I put in? 6. And what were there? 3 yellow ones and 3 blue ones, right? Right. Okay. What about green ones? How about red? Green one. There's that's I never know what makes them pop. None of them pop. Sometimes half of them pop. I don't know. Well, anyway, the point is that the air obviously did not go out of it. What happened was, because as soon as it warms up, you see the balloons fill up again. So what happened was that So what happened was that, and what happens to any gas is, if you cool it down, that the gas condenses. You take any gas and put it in contact with a cooled container, and if the container is cold enough, the gas will condense, or it will stick to the inside of the container, and you will not have gas anymore. And in order to make this perfect atomic clock, you don't want the atoms stuck onto something else, because that will alter their frequency. You want them to be floating freely in space in a gas. And things don't stay a gas if you cool them down by this standard refrigeration technique. So how are we going to cool something without touching it with something else that's cold? And the answer has been staring at us for centuries from the heavens, because since the time of Kepler, people have known that the tails of comets